You walk into a newly built house, and what do you actually notice first?
Right, usually it's the paint.
Exactly, the paint colors. You notice the wallpaper, maybe like the fancy lighting fixtures or the
Yeah,
trim.
the surface stuff.
Right. And that is almost entirely how we are conditioned to think about a traditional orchestral soundtrack in a movie or a television show.
Oh, for sure.
It is the decoration. It sets the mood. It colors a romantic scene. Maybe it adds tension to a chase.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to somehow strip the music entirely away,
The structure is still there.
exactly, the actual structure of the house, the dialogue, the physical acting, the pacing of the plot, it's still standing right there in front of you.
Because the foundation remains completely intact. I mean, the music is applied essentially as a post-production layer, right? It's just there to tell you how to feel about what you are already looking at.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
But imagine walking into a house where the wallpaper isn't just decoration.
Okay.
Imagine if the paint on the walls was actually holding up the ceiling. Right. If you take away the paint, the whole building collapses. And that is the wild conceptual shift we are exploring today on this deep dive.
It really is a fascinating topic.
It's incredible. So we're looking at a phenomenal cultural and musical essay from Monumental Movement Records.
Mm-hmm.
It's written by an author named Mishinir Resser, and it's titled Experimental Beats Anime Soundtrack.
A really great read.
It is. And our mission today for you, the listener, is to figure out how, over the last 35 years, experimental music stopped being just, background noise and animation,
Right.
and how it became the actual structural foundation of the medium. We're talking about how electronic beats fundamentally expanded how stories are told.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do.
Because I want to be super clear up front. We aren't just talking about someone dropping a cool synthesizer track over a cartoon.
Far from it. No, we're talking about a total paradigm shift in audiovisual integration. When we use the term experimental beats in this context, we're looking at complex electroacoustics, dense ethnic percussion, breakbeats.
Even ambient noise, right?
Yes, exactly. Ambient environmental noise. These elements became literal load-bearing components of the animation itself.
Wow.
They weren't just added later, they were synchronized with frame-by-frame video editing to dictate the entire flow and pacing of the narrative.
Which brings up a really important question about, the architecture of sound. And I want to make sure we don't get lost in the musical jargon here.
Good idea.
Because the essay lists a lot of specific features like minimal structures based on repetition, odd meters, and polyrhythms.
Right.
So for someone who doesn't have a degree in music theory, what actually is a polyrhythm?
Yeah.
And how does it act as a structural wall instead of just, wallpaper?
Well, a polyrhythm is basically when you have two or more completely different rhythms playing at the exact same time.
Okay.
So think of a standard pop song. It usually has a very straightforward, steady pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. It just flows.
Right, super predictable.
Exactly. But a polyrhythm might have one instrument playing a beat in 3/4 time, while another is playing in 4/4 time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it creates this dense, complex grid of sound. It has very rigid mathematical cycles.
Okay, I see.
And when you are an animator editing a piece of visual media, you can use those rigid auditory cycles as a literal map to physically cut the video.
Okay, but if I'm listening to this right now, I'm probably thinking, wait, Hollywood action movies do this all the time.
Sure.
Like a bomb goes off, the music swells, a big Hans Zimmer bass note hits, and bam, the camera cuts to the explosion.
Right.
The music and the visuals match perfectly.
Yeah.
So why did this structural revolution happen so effectively in anime specifically? I mean, why did we see live-action film do this exact same thing?
That's a great point. It's because live-action film is bound by an expectation of acoustic reality.
What do you mean?
Well, when you film live human beings walking down a physical street, the viewer's brain expects to hear what a real street sounds like.
Oh, right.
If you overlay an intensely abstract, non-homogeneous rhythm like a heavy, distorted breakbeat or bizarre environmental noises over a normal live-action conversation, it completely shatters the illusion.
Yeah, it pulls the viewer right out of reality.
Exactly.
Because our brains are screaming like, that's not what a real room sounds like.
Yes. But anime visuals are entirely drawn. They're created from nothing, which means they're inherently abstract to begin with.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. So because of that visual abstraction, abstract acoustics and completely unrealistic rhythm structures don't feel out of place. They blend perfectly into the drawn environment.
Interesting.
And here is where the mechanism gets truly fascinating.
Okay.
Anime relies on meticulous frame-by-frame creation. A standard anime might run at, say, 24 frames per second.
Right.
An animator knows that if a beat is running at exactly 120 beats per minute, a beat hits precisely every 12 frames.
Oh, I see. It's literally just pure math.
It's an unshakable grid. The creators have absolute mathematical control over every single visual cut. This allows directors to synchronize the cycles of an experimental beat perfectly with the visual cut divisions.
So they draw the sword strike?
Yes, or the character's eye blink, to land exactly on frame 12.
So it's not just close, it is mathematically locked together.
Exactly.
And when the auditory rhythm and the visual rhythm are perfectly synchronized like that, it has to create this, I don't know, this profound psychological effect on the viewer.
Oh, absolutely.
The rhythm isn't just accompanying the visual, it's driving it forward.
It bypasses conscious thought entirely. I mean, the viewer feels it physically before their brain even registers the image.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Let's trace these load-bearing walls back to their foundation then.
Sure.
I want to look at the cinematic big bang of this movement, like the moment anime really started pivoting away from the traditional Western symphonic sound.
Right.
And that turning point hits with absolute force in the 1980s, specifically 1988, with the release of the film Akira.
Akira is the undeniable watershed moment here.
Yeah.
The music wasn't composed by a traditional studio orchestra. It was created by a collective called Jinno Yamashiro Gumi.
Wow.
And they were a group whose entire foundation was based on deep, global, ethnic music research.
And the scale of what they produced is just staggering. I mean, they used hundreds of singers.
Hundreds.
They brought in Buddhist Shumyo chants, massive arrays of percussion, and like heavily processed electronic sounds.
Yeah.
But one of the key things they used was Indonesian gamelan. For those listening who don't know, gamelan is this traditional ensemble made up of tuned bronze metallophones, xylophones, and gongs.
Right.
When you strike these bronze instruments, they create these incredibly complex, lingering frequencies, like they physically vibrate the air.
They really do.
So they weren't just writing a melody for a movie, they were engineering massive acoustic structures designed to emphasize heavy, physical vibrations.
Yeah, they were basically weaponizing sound pressure.
Weaponizing sound pressure, exactly.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting and where my logic sort of trips up a bit.
Okay.
Akira is famous for its setting, right? Neo-Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
It is this hyper-advanced, chaotic, futuristic, cyberpunk city full of neon, lasers, and technologically advanced motorcycles.
Yeah, very sci-fi.
So why use ancient, traditional, acoustic sounds like bronze gongs and Buddhist monks to score a cold, futuristic city? It seems like it should clash terribly.
Well, what's fascinating here is that deliberate contrast is the entire point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the music acts as thematic storytelling. I mean, Neo-Tokyo is a city of cold machinery, skyscrapers, and futuristic concrete.
Right.
But the actual narrative of Akira is fundamentally about the uncontrollable, chaotic, biological power of humanity breaking out of those confines.
Right, the psychic mutation, the physical flesh literally expanding and destroying the city.
Exactly. So by using ancient ethnic music, massive polyrhythms, and huge human choirs, the score highlights that tension between flesh and blood humanity and the cold mechanical world. Because the synthesizer sounds clean and mathematical, but 100 humans chanting over bronze gongs, that sounds raw, visceral, and slightly uncontrollable.
Oh, for sure.
So the music isn't just accompanying the film. The rhythm actively propels that chaotic biological energy forward against the backdrop of the middle city.
That biological versus mechanical tension carries right into the next major milestone in the 1990s, doesn't it? The 1995 film Ghost in the Shell.
It does. Kenji Kawai's score for Ghost in the Shell takes that exact tension and refines it into something really haunting.
Yeah.
He fused religious-style melodies with very modern electronics, and his signature move there was using Bulgarian-style polyphonic choirs.
Okay, what are those?
Well, these are choirs that sing in dissonant close harmonies. To an untrained ear, they sound incredibly alien.
Right.
Yet they are entirely made of the human voice.
Mm-hmm.
Kawai took those ancient-sounding human voices and paired them with completely inorganic, pulled synth pads and heavy, low-end beats.
So again, the music is literally physically representing the core theme of the movie. Like, the protagonist is a human soul or ghost trapped inside an artificial, mechanical, cybernetic shell. The alien but human choir is the ghost, and the low-end synth beat is the show.
Oh, yes. It is thematic architecture built directly into the audio frequencies.
That's incredible.
It is. But, Akira and Ghost in the Shell were massive theatrical productions.
Right, big budgets.
Huge budgets and timelines to support that kind of intense audio-visual synchronization. The real shift happened in the late 1990s when this experimental approach moved into weekly television.
Okay.
And the best example of this genre-crossing explosion is the 1998 broadcast of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, absolutely. The composer for that, Yoko Kanno, basically put on a masterclass in genre hopping.
Truly.
I mean, the show jumps through jazz, funk, and electronica, but I want to zero in on the opening track, Tank.
Iconic.
It is. It's a high-speed, big band jazz piece, which sounds traditional on paper. It's brass and upright bass, but it's absolutely not edited like a traditional jazz performance.
No, not at all. The instrumentation is big band jazz, yes. But the way the rhythm is cut, manipulated, and edited to the animation resonates entirely with modern club culture.
Yeah.
It's jazz, but it's structured with the sensibilities of an electronic dance track.
Wow.
It proved to the industry that you could take any genre of music, apply this frame-by-frame synchronized editing theory, and completely modernize the visual impact.
Okay, but this brings me to a major logistical question. You mentioned budgets a second ago.
Right?
Doing this kind of meticulous frame-by-frame math with an orchestra or a massive choir is incredibly expensive.
Oh, hugely expensive.
It takes months of planning. How on earth did this suddenly become the standard for weekly TV shows moving into the 2000s and 2010s? We go from massive cinematic ethnic choirs to something much more grounded.
Right.
Like in 2004, we get Samurai Champloo.
Well, it comes down to a crucial technological shift that happened right around the turn of the millennium. That era saw the massive rise of DTM, or desktop music. Digital production environments, software synthesizers, and digital samplers became widely accessible.
Ah, I see.
And this significantly lowered production costs.
So instead of needing to rent a massive studio to record an orchestra, a single producer in a bedroom with a computer could create incredibly complex experimental rhythms.
Exactly, and they could manipulate those rhythms digitally down to the millisecond.
Wow.
Because the cost dropped so dramatically, these experimental beats were no longer an expensive novelty reserved for blockbuster films. They became the democratized, standard internal language of TV anime.
Which brings us to Samurai Champloo.
Yes.
Which famously mixed traditional Edo period samurai aesthetics with modern hip-hop culture.
Right.
And the late producer Mijabi's was a key figure here, bringing in jazz samples, lo-fi textures, and heavy breakbeats. And for anyone unfamiliar, a breakbeat is essentially taking a drum solo, usually from an old funk or soul record, chopping it into tiny audio pieces, and rearranging it into a new, stuttering, repeating pattern.
Right. And using those break beats in Samurai Champloo was not just an aesthetic choice to make a sword fight look cool by playing a hip-hop track over it.
Right, it was structural.
The beats literally dictated the editing tempo and the choreography of the action.
Oh, wow.
The animation of the sword swings, the physical dodges, the cuts between camera angles, they were all mathematically locked into the stuttering rhythm of the breakbeats.
Like a character swings a blade on the snare drum, dodges on the hi-hat, and the camera cuts on a vinyl scratch.
Exactly. The beat becomes the actual time sense of the story itself. The characters aren't just fighting to the music, they're fighting inside the rhythm of the music.
That completely rewires how you experience an action scene. You aren't just watching two guys clash swords, you're feeling the physical groove of the combat.
Yes.
But as we move into the 2010s, something fascinating happens. The music stops being about kinetic action and sword fights, and it starts being used to design psychological space.
The focus definitely pivots from kinetic energy to spatial tension. A prime example is the 2012 series Psychopaths. Composer Yugo Kanno used heavy bass electronics mixed with traditional strings to build this suffocating urban tension.
Oh, I remember that.
It wasn't about fast action or breakbeats, it was about the oppressive weight of a dystopian city. And it was communicated entirely through low-end frequencies that you almost feel in your chest rather than hear.
Then just a couple years later, in 2014, with Terror in Resonance, Yoko Kanno returns.
Right.
But this time, she isn't using the big band jazz of Cowboy Bebop. She's using ambient textures, environmental noise, and the absolute minimum amount of rhythm possible.
Yes. In that series, she uses silence as a structural component.
Wow.
The extreme minimalism of the beat forms the psychological tension. When a beat finally does hit, after minutes of ambient drones, the impact is massive.
I can imagine.
It's a completely different application of the exact same synchronized philosophy.
It's like the music evolved from being the fast heartbeat that pushes a samurai forward in a fight into the very oxygen that characters are breathing in the room.
What a great way to put it.
The silence, the ambient noise, the low bass, it creates an invisible atmospheric pressure. The music is literally building the room around them.
And that spatial architecture brings us right up to the modern era, the 2020s to today.
Right.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, what's interesting now is that this musical architecture isn't just shaping the internal fictional world of the anime.
No?
No, it's actively shaping the external world of the listener.
Well, yeah, because we are firmly in the streaming era now. Let's look at a massive recent example. The 2022 series Cyberpunk, Edge Runners.
Oh, absolutely.
This show utilized incredibly heavy bass, industrial EDM, and aggressive club music.
Yeah.
And again, it perfectly mirrored the inorganic, harsh, unforgiving landscape of its setting, Night City.
Yeah.
It feels like a direct descendant of that original Akira philosophy.
It is a direct continuation. But Edge Runners also proves how the distribution of this music has completely changed the global cultural landscape.
How so?
Well, in the 1990s, if you loved the music in an anime, tracking down the physical imported CD could be incredibly difficult.
Oh, impossible, especially internationally.
Exactly. Today, because of global streaming platforms, these soundtracks immediately reach millions of international listeners the second the episode airs.
So the anime itself becomes this, like, high-speed delivery system for global music circulation.
Yes. And this creates a fascinating cultural feedback loop.
Okay.
Those early works we discussed, Akira and Ghost in the Shell, they didn't just stay in Japan. They became foundational reference points for Western film directors, video game designers, and musicians exploring cyberpunk aesthetics.
Well, yeah.
They set the baseline for what the future was supposed to sound like for the entire world.
And Samurai Champloo did the exact same thing, but in a completely different genre. They took American hip-hop and jazz, translated through this incredibly stylized Japanese visual medium, and basically re-exported it back to the world.
They really did.
I mean, you can draw a direct line from New Jabbies scoring Samurai Champloo to the explosion of the lo-fi hip-hop beats to study the phenomenon that took over YouTube a decade later.
The anime creators and composers acted as brilliant cultural translators.
Yeah.
They imported external genres, whether that's Bulgarian choirs, big band jazz, or underground hip-hop experimented with them inside this highly controlled, mathematically synchronized animated space.
Right.
And then broadcasted those new creations back out to the entire globe. Animation became the ultimate medium for musical cross-pollination.
So what does this all mean for us, the people watching at home on our couches?
Good question.
When we look back at this 35-year continuous evolution, the biggest takeaway from this essay is that dropping an experimental beat into an anime isn't just some quirky stylistic choice.
No, it's not.
It's a revolutionary editing theory. It's a psychological tool that manipulates how we feel space, tension, and time. And ultimately, it's a global cultural bridge that constantly recycles and reinvents how we experience sound.
It proves that audio in this medium is not a secondary layer. It is the pacing mechanism of the storytelling itself.
So here is your homework. The next time you sit down to watch an animated show, don't just look at the colors. Don't just listen to the dialogue. Try to actually feel the rhythm of the visual cuts.
Yes, pay attention to the cuts.
Ask yourself, is the music just playing in the background to tell me how to feel? Or is that beat secretly controlling my entire perception of time and space in that scene? Are you just looking at the wallpaper, or are you looking at the load-bearing walls?
And as you think about those walls, consider where they are headed next.
Oh.
A concept worth pondering is the highly advanced integration of AI-generated sound and video.
Wow, okay.
If we already have this profound mathematical synchronization between human animators and human musicians, imagine a near future where a system generates the visual frame and the audio frequency from the exact same line of code at the exact same millisecond.
That is wild.
Will we even be able to tell the difference between seeing an action and hearing a beat anymore? Or will they melt into one single inseparable sensory experience?
Whoa. That is a wild thought to leave off on. Visuals and audio just melting into one code-driven output where you can't even separate your senses anymore.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. I know I am going to be listening to my favorite shows completely differently now. We hope this changed how you experience them too. Until next time.